Good morning, ladies. This is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice. We will be glad in it. This is Denise, the Healthy Mom Life, coming to you to give you morning motivation, to inspire, to encourage you, to uplift you, to be the best you in life and in business. And so today, we are going to be talking about the theme of the month, which is I Stand Corrected. And I Stand Corrected is a continuation or part two to two is better than one, the theme that we had a few months ago. And so with I Stand Corrected, this is the morning motivations, and what we'll be talking about is things that cause a shift, things that cause you to um, do something, change something, activate something, or reactivate something, or take away something that isn't serving you any good or serving you any purpose. And so I want to talk today about Elisha, the prophet Elisha, and the Shunammite woman. So to give a background story, ladies, the Shunammite woman was from Shunem, or Shunem, I should say, not Shuhem, Shunem, and she was a wealthy woman. And so every time that Elisha would pass through Shunem, he would stop and dwell and eat at the Shunammite woman's home with her husband. And so one particular time, Elisha prophesied to her and said that she would have a child the next year at the same time. And so at this point, the Shunammite woman was like, pretty much stop playing with me, stop playing games with me. This is, you know, don't don't play with me like that, because she had been desiring a child. And so the next spring, at the same time that Elisha prophesied that the Shunammite woman would bear a child, she bore a son, and she raised him. And then that son was out in the fields with his father and different things like that. And he pretty much died, passed out, whatever. And so the father took him up to the house, and thus the Shunammite woman took the child and took him to the room where Elisha had had been boarding. Like when he would come, he had a specific place that he would lay his head and have room and board with him and his servant. What is his servant's name? Gehazi. My apologies, Gehazi. I had to look that up for a minute. And so in this story, ladies, there's so many things happening. You have the prophet Elijah and the servant who are travelers. Um, and then you have the Shunammite woman, and you have her husband, who isn't really talked about a whole lot. But then you have the son, whom, you know, was a miracle, was a gift to the Shunammite woman. And so one of the things that I want to point out, and I'll read it to you, it says, one day, this is 2 Kings 4, verses, we'll start at 11 and continue on. So 2 Kings 4 and 11. It says, one day he came there, and he turned into the chamber and rested there. And he said to Gehazi, his servant, call this Shunammite. When he called her, she stood before him. And he said to him, say now to her, see, you have taken all this trouble for us. What is to be done for you? And so that was one of the first things that stuck out to me as it relates to I Stand Corrected, in that when you are doing business and you are serving people come alongside of you, and not only do they see you serving them and doing business with them, To me, a healthy partnership is then they ask in return, you've been doing all this for me. What can I do for you? And so in business and in life, and in, when you have those kind of relationships, those are the things that I believe you look for, because it's not just a one-sided situation. It's not just a one-sided benefit. So the Elijah the prophet benefited, but then also he wanted to find a way and wanted to know what the Shunammite woman um, wanted in return, in essence. And so that's the one of the first things that stuck out with the story. The second thing that stuck out with this story is the Shunammite woman, when her son went ill or went dead, in essence, and was dead for quite a long time. She traveled to go see Elisha. She left her home. She left her son on Elisha's bed at her home, and she went and she traveled with her servant on a donkey. Now, I looked this up, ladies, and from Shunem to Mount Carmel, where Elisha was with his servant, that was a 15-mile journey. So 15 miles is about, 15 minutes in a car. So in essence, she on a donkey was gone for about, it took her about 2.5, 3 hours in order to get to him. So that means like 3.5 hours to get there, and then 3.5 hours to go back. So the second part of this is, um, not only did she know within her heart that all was well, because that's what she kept saying, um, when her son died, she kept saying, all is well, all is well, even though she knew on the inside that all was chaotic and crazy, and that her son needed help and that he was pretty much dead. She kept having an all is well response to all that was going on. I can imagine as a mother, she was frantic inside. She was going crazy on the inside, but she maintained her composure and saying, all is well. That was the second thing that stuck out to me. Sometimes, ladies, in the midst of business not going right, your home is chaotic, you yourself is chaotic, there's life going around you. Sometimes we need to continue to have an all is well response, because some people just don't need to know that all isn't well, because they'll try to use it to their advantage, and they'll try to squeeze the life out of you when you're trying to give life and birth something that God has put on your heart to do. And so she maintained an all is well in her soul, even though she knew that the external things around her was not ideal, was not going well. And so we have to keep a confession in our mouth that all is well. Okay, so that's two things that stuck out to me. A third thing that stuck out to me was um, Elisha the prophet. He went back to Shunem to deal with the child, to pretty much perform a miracle. And one of the things that stuck out to me was this scripture, and it's verse 31 of the same chapter. He said, Gehazi went on ahead and laid the staff on the face of the child, but there was no sound or sign of life. Therefore, he returned to meet him and told him, the child has not awakened. When Elijah came into the house, he saw the child lying dead on his bed. So he went in and shut the door behind the two of them and prayed to the Lord. Then he went up and lay on the child, putting his mouth on his mouth, his eyes on his eyes, and his hands on his hands. And as he stretched himself upon him, the flesh of the child became warm. Then he got up again and walked back and forth in the house, and went up and stretched himself upon him again. The child sneezed 7 times, and the child opened his eyes. What a miracle, right? There was persistence there. Sometimes in the midst of life, we have to continue to be persistent. If we don't see change when it happens the first time, we need to go back again until we see the change. We need to go back and pray again. We need to go back and do the very thing that God told us to do. Sometimes we miss instructions or we miss things that God has told us to do. And when we don't see the fruit of our labor, go back and get instruction, or go back and do it again and see if there's anything that you need to do um, differently, potentially, or you need to do the same thing, just keep being persistent at it. Elisha did it again. He didn't just stop at the first time. He got on the little child, the little boy, again when he didn't see the results that he was looking for. Sometimes we give up way too soon when we don't see the results that we're looking for, when we don't get the immediate gratification. And so there's so much to unlock in this story of the Shunammite woman and Elisha. But this is my time, ladies. And I want you to be encouraged in those three things right now of being corrected. I pray that this has shifted your mindset. I pray that this has caused a change in how you will operate. I pray that this has caused you um, to go back and try again that thing that you tried already. I stand corrected. I stand corrected. We have to listen to instruction. We have to be confident and have an all is well in our spirit, in our soul, when things are not going exactly the way we want it to go in life, in business. So I love you. Have a great day. I will unpack Elijah and the Shunammite woman a little further in another video, in another morning motivation. Talk to you soon. Have a great day. Bye.